So basically, I always mention, like, you know how, like, if you have pants that have lines going down, you're going to look taller, right?
Totally.
So same with your hair. If it's just straight and down, your face, it's not going to do anything. It's going to pull you down.
Yeah.
And that's why cutting specialists, they're good because they know they'll place where you should have volume.
Oh, that's
so for me,
cool.
I would want it in my chin. So you would want to swoop there. You want to create like what you do for work.
It's like facial balancing.
Exactly.
You're listening to Just a Pinch podcast with Injector Kristin. Join me and industry experts as we discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the aesthetics, wellness, and fitness industries.
All right, welcome back to Just a Pinch podcast. Today we have a different type of aesthetic provider with us today. This is Nicky Gateman, and Nicky is the owner and one of the operators of Main Loft Salon in West Hartford, Connecticut.
Hi guys.
Welcome.
Finally we did this.
I know.
feel like we've talked about this for the last few years.
I was going to say at least a year in the making.
Love it.
So happy you're here.
Thank you. Me too. One thing I always say with my clients, like, once you guys are sitting in my chair for a couple hours, I'm always like, that could have been a podcast.
Right?
So, yeah,
that's
we're
what
here
you
now.
need. You need like an in-the-chair podcast.
Oh, yeah. Explicit.
Wild. I know our conversations in the chair were a little crazy at times. So I can only imagine.
Love it. Well, we're
Except your clients don't sign HIPAA forms, right?
Good call. Yeah, that could be bad.
I know. Legally, all of my patients' secrets are safe with me.
True that. That's so funny.
It really is, right? So tell me a little bit about your start in the hair industry.
Cool. So I've been a stylist for 15 years. So like half of my life almost.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it's insane. It flies by. So I started as a colorist, eventually working my way into finding extensions because my hair was fine, especially like when you get into birth control, the hormones and everything. Yeah, it feels like it gets thin out of nowhere. Yeah. So once I found hair extensions and got to experience the confidence that I felt, I love giving it to other people, you know? So there's a difference. Of course, you feel good when you get highlights, but when you actually see that like something that affects you every day as far as thickness, the hold, that's been a game changer for me, myself, and my clients. It's
such, extensions are such a wow factor too. It's like we all feel good, like you said, after getting like a color service done, but that impact that you get of like running your hands through your hair for the first time when you have extensions.
The instant gratification, right?
It's like the biggest serotonin dump you could possibly get.
Oh yeah. You know that saying, what is it right now? It's like, I don't know, if I was a therapist, I'd be like, well, have you thought about getting extensions? Because like, it's so true.
So there was a correlation with mental health and Botox, saying that Botox actually helped clinically reduce depression.
Wow.
It was a combination of, of course, look better, feel better, but it was also taking away your ability to actually like frown. And when your muscles couldn't make that face of expression, it was not giving that, right? So then you just feel better. So I would have to say that extensions would do the same thing.
Oh yeah, look at us just changing the world in many ways.
Exactly.
Yes. So a little bit too on that extension journey, I started with I think I've experienced every kind. I've worn myself K-tips, tape-ins, and now invisible bead. So the difference that I've recognized, I wanted to originally be just an extension specialist, just like every kind on the market, like that way I don't have to say no to anyone.
Yeah.
But I recognized quickly, like looking back at my journey with those, like I remember one time I had K-tips on my head and I just had to chop all my hair off because like my hair got so thin.
Oh no.
So that's a little off-brand for me. I want to make someone feel good, but not have them feel worse when they take out the extensions.
Totally.
Yes. So I'm only working with invisible bead now. Who knows, that can change. The industry's always changing.
Yeah, technology always grows.
Yes, always evolving. So right now I'm strictly on that. It's very healthy. I feel like we could probably nerd out on just like, the way it's installed. Like I did a bunch of master's classes on scalp health, hair health, like all that. It's very minimal on the head, which is nice.
That's awesome. That's really great. You did extensions for me it was before you were invisible bead certified.
You're an OG.
And so it was, oh my gosh, it was crazy. We did hand-tied extensions in me like 2 weeks before the COVID shutdown.
Yep. I love it. I was just sharing that journey the other day. Remember I like removed I removed yours and your coworkers, and I got a vampire facial on the floor of someone's living room.
Right.
Was that a dream?
My God. Like, no, that I completely forgot about that.
I just shared this 2 weeks ago, oddly enough.
Hilarious.
So funny.
Oh my God. The things we had to do during COVID.
To just, again, look good, feel good. Right?
Literally.
Like, where are we going? Nowhere.
It's like, and what's happening with the world? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
So funny.
Yeah. So I know that my hair got so healthy when I had extensions in. And honestly, I think part of it is that it really forced me to take better care of my hair. Like I could no longer be like, we're going to skip that part. I don't feel like blow. I'm the anti-blow dry queen. Although not anymore, I'm doing better. Cut off my hair. I don't mind it anymore. It made me take better care of my hair. And I remember we had scheduled, it was just like a retie. It was like a highlight and a retie. And this was now October, November of that same year. And you went to go put them back in and you were like, girlfriend, your hair's longer than your extensions now.
You did not need them at that point. I'm like, you're killing me now with this blow dry.
I know. So yeah, I mean, we really put extensions in my hair for like thickness and volume versus true length. Like, I think we had pretty much matched my length, maybe got a little bit more out of it, but it was really for density. And I think we just did one row.
Yes.
I mean, it was amazing, but I can tell you that, like, even having them taken out then, running your hands through here, you're like, oh my God, I have no hair on my head. Yeah, oh my gosh. It's
for
like,
a moment, absolutely.
Right? It's like having like eyelash extensions taken off or like anything like that. For like a hot second, you're just like, oh my God, like now I need to get used to this sensation again. But I think it would have been cruel and unusual punishment to you to have to continue to take care of my extraordinarily long hair with extensions and with color process.
I could work longer days now. At one point, I'm like, oh, Kristin, I'm getting out of 5. So this works out great.
Oh my God, it was crazy. My kneecaps would hurt from sitting in the chair for so long.
Butt goes numb. I get it. Damn.
Oh, that's crazy. So in addition to extensions, like what is your like runner-up favorite type of hair service to perform?
So I feel like extensions put the cherry on top because I always say, like, if someone wants to go blonde, if you add that wall of blonde, they're going to be brighter, you know?
Totally.
So I feel like that's a cherry on top. But besides that, I think blonding. Yeah. Still, that's still like, that was my thing for years. Yeah. And it still is, but I'm loving like, again, we're always evolving and things are changing. Yeah. So we were ice queens back in the day. Yes. Very like whites.
Yep. Yeah. Try to get it as icy and bright as possible. Yes. And it was like just an uphill battle.
Absolutely. Especially with our water around here. Like the water adds the minerals, gets darker.
And like, and even with a filter on your shower, like it's like you enjoy that iciness for like a week or two. And then you're like, oh, when we're warm again. So maybe I just need to embrace it.
A delicate dance.
Yes, exactly.
So now we're like embracing like neutrals, warm golds. I can't believe it. Like I'm the warmest I've ever been and like I'm dark. Yeah. Like this is crazy.
I had low lights put in.
Look at us.
I know.
Oh my God.
I couldn't believe it. We did a Scandinavian hairline. So we really brightened up the front, which I mean, it was amazing. I've never felt like brighter and blonder up front. And then that was the only bleach we did. And then just low lights throughout the back of it. And I felt like it gave me so much dimension and really lived in, easy maintenance. And especially for the winter time when it's like, that's your time to like tone things down a little bit. I love it. I think it's great.
And maybe you even felt a little brighter. Right?
I did. I felt way brighter up front.
That depth. Yeah, it's amazing.
And even being able to pull my hair back, it still maintained that brightness and just gave a little bit more contrast without it being like that 2000s high contrast style.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I hope that never comes back in.
Dude, I hear you.
That was rough.
Oh, yeah.
That was rough.
I will say, though.
Choppy and chunky.
I know, right? So it's, again, just interesting how things go on. I remember when I went to school, like cosmetology school, I think they said we needed like, I feel like the number was like 200 and something clients to be booked for the year. Wow. And that was them coming in every, 6 to 8 weeks back then? Yeah. So now, oh my God, you need so many more clients. Yeah. I have clients coming in like 3 times a year now. Wow. Yeah. And the extension girlies are 4 to 5 times a year. So still, everything is so much more low maintenance that you have to increase your number.
So here's my question for you. So I remember, because I'd get highlights, probably starting in middle school, right? you'd go in, you'd get your highlight done, they'd rinse you out, condition you, dry you, and that was it. There was no extra steps to highlighting. And then all of a sudden one day, I'm getting toned. I'm getting an extra like root smudge, and all these little extra things came in to make blonding and adjusting the tone of your highlight so much better. When did that happen?
So it's funny because I saw that shift myself. Like when I went to hairdressing school, one gloss all over. So at least we had glosses.
Yeah.
But I feel like this shift kind of happened when balayage came out.
Okay.
So you're creating more. Balayage is like basically a transitional. Like I think it means to sweep, like in French. So that's creating that look of a transition with lightener. Yeah. But you can get that look of a transition with a toner instead. Okay. So I feel like whenever balayage came out, which I don't remember the year. Yeah. Yeah.
I just remember in the 2000s, it was just like, everybody's a little bit orange, you know, a little yellow, a little orange. And it was like, whatever happened is what happened. Yep. And in order to get that really bright blonde, you had to like borderline have your hair fried off to get it there.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. The technology is crazy, too.
It's incredible how things have changed. Yeah. Where do you see hair trends going this year?
Ooh, that's a good question. So one thing that I know that's for sure, like I can't wait to get my hair done. I'm getting it done in 2 weeks. Yeah. Like this boldness, this contrast. Yeah. The money pieces were very in, like bold ribbons. Remember, like all that. Yeah. It's more of a transition, basically. It's you can have high and low levels, but it's going to be more of a gradient, like blending effect instead of so bold. That I know for sure. And these like really like chin length bobs are in. I love that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Ooh. Yeah, chopping my hair was probably the best thing that I've ever done. It's been actually probably exactly a year now. I mean, I had butt length hair. I ended up just like, it was making me look so drawn out, if that makes sense. Like I have an oval face, and it was just making me feel so long up top. It was doing my face no justice. It was just unmanageable. You couldn't blow dry it. It would, set aside a half a day. I was like looking for like hacks and tools to make blow drying easier. And like, that's crazy to me that I would have to do that. Styling it, forget it. So it was always just like up in a top knot. And it was so unmanageable. Like I felt like a sailor's wife standing on the widow walk. Like I just felt like a witch, It was just like that. Like the weird old lady ratty hair that was too long. And you're just trying to hold on to it. Yep. Yeah, and it was like this weird identity that I had. And I finally was just like, you know what? We're done here. I mean, part of it was also my boyfriend was like, if I find any more of your hair, like everywhere and in my food. And it was just, I had so much shedding when it was long too. True that. And so then we did a chop, probably a little bit longer than what it is now. And it was like instantly my life changed. And that sounds so dramatic.
No, I get it.
It really did. It was like, I felt like I had a more youthful look to my overall aesthetic and my face. I felt a little bit more modern. I could blow dry and style my hair in like 5 to 7 minutes. It just all became so manageable and just realistic. And like I feel so much more myself and in my own body now with this than I ever did trying to force that before.
Oh yeah.
You find that like a lot of girls go through that like big hair transitions, or is it like all of a sudden like somebody's got a trauma, a breakup, and then they do a big chop?
So my girls are usually adding hair. Okay. Like I rarely longer. I rarely take haircut onlys, but usually like if I have a girl that I had for years, I remember those moments where I'm like, all right, this is coming out of nowhere. Is everything okay? Yeah, like mentally, But it's true. I do feel like I'm a spiritual girl, so like I believe you hold so much in things and you're holding on to it for a reason. So like, it's almost like you get to break free of so many things and like, be not reborn, but in a sense, like have a new identity,
Totally.
So I want to tell you too, just a quick fun fact. I'm not a cutting specialist. I focus on extensions. I let everyone be good at what they're good at. I'm just going to focus on me. Yep. But one reason that longness, I know what you're speaking of. So basically, I always mention, like, how, like, if you have pants that have lines going down, you're going to look taller, right?
Totally.
So same with your hair. If it's just straight and down, your face, it's not going to do anything. It's going to pull you down. Yeah. And that's why cutting specialists, they're good because they know they'll place where you should have volume.
Oh,
so for me,
cool.
I would want it in my chin. So you would want to swoop there. You want to create like what you do for work.
It's like facial balancing.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh,
you can facial balance with your haircut.
That is so cool. I've never thought of that before, but that's totally it. You really are.
It's I think you didn't have a lot of layers or angles, correct?
No, not at all. It was just long.
So maybe if you ever want to try again, you just need to like go to a cutting specialist where you can create movement where you need it.
That is so cool. Yeah. So not only can you facial balance with aesthetic treatments at Ethos, but you can get it with your hair too.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know. I can see. I just like...
my brain is like exploding right now. That is so cool.
I know.
So speaking of aesthetic treatments, have you had aesthetic treatments?
I sure have. I am 34 right now, and I've started when I was 27.
Okay.
Yep.
So we started almost around the same time.
Yep. Is that like a common age?
Very common.
Yeah.
I'd say nowadays it's starting almost a little bit earlier. And it's something that, I could go off on a huge tangent with this, that we need to be careful with age and everything. What did you start with?
Of course. I think this was Kylie Jenner time, so lips.
Lippies, yes. That's where a lot of girls start. I'll even get like 19-year-olds in the room being like, I want my lips done.
Yeah, I have them in my chair too. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
I could not fathom being 19 years old and tolerating that procedure.
Yeah, good call.
I was a huge baby back then when it came to pain and discomfort. There is not a chance. I would have been unconscious and like...
I love that.
I would have been out cold and like traumatized. There's no way I could have gone through that. Especially back then, the technology was not what it is now either.
True that,
yeah, like med spas were still, literally almost brand new back then too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. So after lips, anything else?
So yes, the lips I did, and I always want to look natural. That's what I always say the first time. I think at this point I've seen like 4 injectors over those few years. I always want to look natural. I just want to look better, you know? So then eventually, I think it was about to be my 30th, going into my 30th birthday. And I was like, is there anything else I should do to like just enhance my look?
Yeah.
And they mentioned under eye filler. I actually loved it. Like, oh my gosh, I couldn't stop looking at photos. I'm like, damn, this is good.
Brightened everything up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and the lips were still on. The one negative I had at this certain place was that I had to go every 3 or 4 months for my lips. And I hear that's a lot.
That is a lot, yeah.
Yes. And there's something common about that location that a lot of people say they have to go all the time. And it was like, it was getting costly, you know?
Yep.
And it was very far.
Now, did you feel like you needed to go that often?
I did.
Really? So
they would just go
down. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So at least in the every 3 to 4 months, you're not getting overfilled and going and getting it done when you're like, do I really need this? Like my lips are still full. Okay. So you felt like it was actually just kind of, you're like, okay, I need this. I need a touch up. Okay.
Yeah. Which looking back, I would rather go every 3 or 4 months than get overfilled. I just dissolved everything, by the way.
Amazing. Oh, we're going to get into that.
Yeah, we will.
Oh, so good. Have you ever done like any Botox or Dysport, anything like that?
Yes. I started Botox as well. Started with like very minimal.
Yep. Just a little bit.
Yes. So then back to that under eye filler journey. So like I loved it. 2 years later, I just, with what I do for work, I want I work best when a client sits down, they tell me, what would you suggest? And I do it, you know?
Yeah.
So I really trust, and I always find my injectors like, I don't know if it's that, I feel like I should remind them every time I see them because they respect it the first few times and then they feel taken advantage of.
Kind of just gonna go rogue and
Yeah.
So
So then I get under eye. I'm like, do you think I'm due for it again? They're like, we can do another half. So then they put the other half into my eye 2 years later once again.
Okay.
And something was off. And it's so interesting that you can't put your finger on it. Because I'm just ice rolling my face every day for like 6 months.
Are you feeling puffy?
I was feeling so puffy. Wasn't sure if it was allergies. Wasn't sure if I was gaining weight. And I literally I remember I went on vacation for my birthday and I couldn't post one photo without sunglasses.
Wow.
Yes.
Did you feel like your eyes looked smaller?
So eventually, there's one more under eye.
Oh, no.
I know. So then I go to this other place and Wasn't expecting to get anything. I went there to like visit a friend, and I told her, I was like, I'm like experiencing, ever since I got my last under eye, like something's going on here.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're flat right here. Like I literally was like, it was almost like I didn't have a full nose.
Interesting.
Yeah. And she said it's because they put too much under eye filler without cheekbone support. So I was like, okay, should we dissolve it? She's like, we'll just put more. We'll put more on the sides of your nose.
Okay.
I actually loved it for the first, I don't know how long, until I didn't. It was wild. So my eyes felt so small. Yeah. And I felt like, oh my God, it's happening. I've aged.
Yeah.
Like,
you think it's like a you thing.
I literally, it's so interesting. I don't know if it's just me, like not being in the industry, but man, I was really like, I looked so puffy. And then with the Botox, girl, I have to show you some photos.
Oh boy.
I looked like I had a stroke.
Oh no.
Yeah, they put some in my chin, which I've done for dimpling.
Oh, did you have the asymmetric smile?
Yes. And it was painful in my like cheeks. It felt like I ate something sour because it was so strong, the muscles. Okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, so I got here and I got here with Botox. So imagine what was happening with my cheeks. They were huge.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I just dissolved 8 whole vials in my face and everything's gone. This is me.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yes.
And I can tell you that you look phenomenal.
Thank you.
And even with my injector eye, where I don't even mean to internally consult people in my brain when I look at them and talk to them, you don't need anything.
Thank you.
Being dissolved, you don't need anything. Yeah. Like your volume is perfect and it's your own. I always talk to patients about 2 different aesthetic types of treatments when it comes to young people that have nothing innately wrong with them from an aging standpoint. They have volume, their skin isn't lax, like things are where they should be. We're doing cosmetic enhancement. So we're taking something that's normal and we're changing it for a true cosmetic appearance. Think like makeup, right? And then we have people that are aging. Maybe they've lost some volume in their cheeks, in their lips, in their fat pads of their face. The ligaments are getting more lax. Their skin's getting a little bit droopier, thin, crinkly. We're doing restorative treatments. So we're not necessarily trying to make them look like somebody else. We're trying to make them look like the best version of themselves. We're trying to restore them to their kind of their natural state. And to me, restorative work is also undertreated. And that's the way patients should be with these types of things, is slightly undertreated.
Oh, yeah.
So with under eye filler, it's truly less is more. In the very rare cases that I actually choose to use like dermal filler in somebody's under eyes, it's literally drops. Like I don't speak of under eye filler in syringes. I speak of it in like micro droplets. Yeah. Because this is such a water loving area. It's wet. We have a ton of lymphatic drainage that's happening through here. We have our scariest nerve and blood vessel bundle literally sitting right here. If you put a little bit of filler in you can even be the tiniest drop of it in the wrong spot, we're going to drop lymphatic drainage. Things can get waterlogged and boggy. You can get really puffy. You may notice it like waking up in the morning that your filler always feels like you feel more full in the morning when you first wake up, right?
Oh, I went through so many under eye pads.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's because that filler made of hyaluronic acid is drawing water into it and we're not draining that area well. So it can puff up, and this is also the thinnest skin on our entire body. It's like just the tiniest little sheet of skin. So it's not acting like a really good corset to hold that filler in place the way that like it is in our cheek or in our jawline or in our chin, where like you're not going to see it puffing up because it's supported by a lot of tissue over it. It's just nice and naturally contoured. This is like, hey, here's a bubble of filler because today it's really filled with water.
You're literally like nailing it, because when I would smile, I actually like, I have an appointment Friday to just see that we dissolved everything.
Yep, perfect.
And when I would smile, I could see exactly it wasn't part of my body.
Yes, exactly.
So interesting.
Yeah, so under eye filler, more oftentimes than not, and I'll tell patients too that like you may love your under eye filler for months, years, a bunch of years. Inevitably it's going to have to come out, because I'm yet to find anybody that's gotten tear trough filler from me, from somebody else. No matter where you go, it eventually causes some sort of issue. It starts to not age well. It starts to kind of just show itself. It's doing weird things with the cheek transition. We're starting to see like a bluish hue to that under eye area. That's what we call the Tyndall effect. It's light reflecting off the filler and kind of bouncing back through the skin. just a problematic area.
So it stays forever, filler?
So that's a loaded question. I'm going to say yes, asterisk. Okay. So if you were to get your filler done and then not have it dissolved and just let things kind of naturally take its course, it's going to most often come down. It will start to dissolve and it'll get to the point that I call like subclinical filler. So you can't aesthetically from the outside see any changes from that filler. But if we were to put you through an MRI machine, you are going to see evidence of that filler still in your face. So I say filler leaves a thumbprint behind at bare bones minimum. That can be in the lips, in the cheeks. There was an MRI study that was done that a woman hadn't had filler in 10 years. Went in and had an MRI, face lit up like a Christmas tree with old filler in there.
I never knew that happened also.
Yeah.
That's a fun fact.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you can absolutely see filler on some imaging studies, which is really cool.
Yeah.
MRI or CAT scan would show like hyaluronic acid filler. Filler like Radiesse that is calcium based is going to show up on x-ray and ultrasound as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So
cool.
Really interesting stuff. So does filler really go away? Kind of. If we want it to really go away, that's when we go in with the hyaluronidase, that reversal enzyme, which is going to break it down, and then it allows your body to absorb it and kind of naturally process it out. Yep. But there's been a really big push in filler dissolving. I feel like filler, like with all things, goes through trends. Big Kylie Jenner lips were a thing, and then when she started going small, it's so funny how like the industry follows certain people.
I hate that. Like when I got everything dissolved, I'm like, I'm following like society. Right? I didn't mean to, but timing. I think the timing of the filler now looking bad.
Exactly. It's like that perfect amount of time. But there's filler trends. There was like the cut glass jaw lines with these like really masculine looking sharp jaw lines, or these really almost witch-like chins. The big lips, the shapes of the lips have changed. Cheeks are a big one where, I'll still see people, on the street where I'm like, those are some cheeks. Yeah, holy cow. It's like they are just like, they got a cup of filler in there from like 10 years and it's not going anywhere. Yep. But yeah, a lot of people are dissolving now because they're like, I don't remember who I am.
That's exactly.
You lose your identity.
That. Yeah.
You're like, I don't know who I would be without this. I don't know who I am. And the way you mentioned just kind of like not feeling like yourself, people will come into my chair and I'll get a lot of new patients this way, which is interesting. I don't know why I'm attracting the new ones for this, but I've noticed a trend with it. I can't put my finger on it. And they'll sit in my chair and go, yeah, I've been getting Botox and filler done. I've been to a couple different places over the years. It was all fine, but something just doesn't feel right now. And I can't put my finger on what's bothering me.
Yeah. Did you happen to see my story when I posted like the before and after?
I did.
Like I went on my story just to say like, basically, if you don't feel yourself, because it gets very depressing. Like I'm drinking 1/8 of the amount I used to when I was younger. You know what I mean? Like, I barely go out. Like I am so much healthier, but I didn't look it. I looked so inflamed. I was questioning my diet, whether I have to go gluten-free. Like it messes with you mentally.
Absolutely. And a lot of times we forget that filler it's categorized by the FDA as an implant.
Wow.
So it's not, it's a drug, it contains drugs, but it's technically classified as an implant. And so that's the way I always like to look at it and speak of it. Is there's a time and a place for filler, absolutely, when we are genuinely volume deficient and we need to support a skin structure in a certain way. Lips, there's very few other options for lips to genuinely make them larger. There's a time and a place for it, but I feel like this industry as a whole very much so overuses and over-relies on filler without looking at the big implications on somebody's face over time and how it's going to affect their health. Because this is an implant, your body can react to it, and it can react to it like a foreign body because it is one. Yep. So like we have to be really careful with people that are autoimmune. Their bodies can attack that filler, and they can create nodules, inflammation. There was a case of an injector who literally almost died, was in the ICU, like almost put on a ventilator because of this inflammatory reaction that they had from having filler. And it's not like it was just placed. It was all just old filler that was left in their face. So filler is not risk-free. And so I look at it, I'm a very minimalist injector. Like, I love my energy devices. I love lasers. I love microneedling. I love skincare. All of that to me is like on the food pyramid of aesthetics is like, that's your bread and butter. And you don't really have any business getting the injectables done unless we're taking care of the base of it first, right?
That makes sense to me.
And then we use judicious, tiny amounts of filler if and when we need it. And honestly, I spend more time trying to convince people that they are beautiful in who they are and that they don't need to do these crazy enhancements and like, let's work on these things. It's like, we could always do things to improve our skin health, but like, maybe let's not jump to like chiseling out cheeks and a jawline and a crazy chin.
Absolutely.
Chill on the lips a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
like forfeit one of those syringes and let's take that money and invest it into good skincare.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like this is the veil over everything, you know?
It is. It absolutely is. But I mean, you hit the nail on the head with saying that if you don't feel like yourself and you feel like something is off and you can't put your finger on it and you're questioning all of these other parts of your life, if you do have filler of any type in your face, take a look at that and just ask the question of, can this be causing my problems and the issues with it?
Yeah, now I know for sure. And
Yeah.
I saved when I saved like a hero. No, but when I put it on my story, just sharing it, I would love to like show you the photo. I don't know if you can put that on this at some point.
Oh yeah, we definitely can.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So many people were in my DMs and was like, I've been feeling so off lately. Thank you so much for sharing this. Like, it made people book like to check on themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's good.
I've had some girls come in just for what I'll call like a filler checkup, where like we're not doing anything with it, but they are like questioning some things with their filler. And I'll pull out my ultrasound and we'll ultrasound their face where they've had filler and where they don't think they have filler, but they're seeing an issue. And I'll be like, I think you've got filler there. They're like, no, I've never had it there. I'm like, I think you've got filler there.
Because it migrated?
Because it migrates.
Damn.
And I've been able to identify filler on people's faces in areas that they're like, that's crazy. I've never had a needle or a cannula put there. And just being able to like, and it's literally just like peace of mind of them being like, okay, I just want to know where it is and what it's doing, just to know.
Smart.
And so then if they want to do something with it in the future, they can. But at least now it's like getting blood work done. You know, it's like with your hormones. It's like get the blood work done, know where your hormones are, know where all your blood tests are. So now you know and you're informed. And then whether you choose to do anything with that information is totally your own prerogative. But you're educated.
That's smart.
Right?
Yeah, because then you're actually like, you know where you're beginning too as an injector.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's really helpful to be able to know where those products are because I mean I've been very surprised at where I've found filler in people before. It's crazy. That's where nuts. It will go. Yeah.
Wow, you got me guessing now. Because I wonder if all of mine is gone after 8 friggin' vials.
I know.
It's nuts.
Yeah, the ultrasound was a really great addition to my practice of being able to like literally, because it's like, you know, we're trying to look with x-ray goggles with our own eyes of through somebody's skin and be able to, you know, kind of look and see where all those layers are, and you're feeling with a needle and a cannula what you think is there. We don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so being able to now have imaging that we can do in real time to say, you know, okay, I've had a ton of dissolving done in my under eye, but like I'm still getting some puffiness. Like, where is it? We can throw an ultrasound on there and be like, little glob, literally right there. And I can hold that ultrasound crazy. And then literally see the needle go into that little glob so I know that I got it.
Yeah, smart.
You know? And what really made me want to get that ultrasound was that injector's case who had that huge crazy reaction, and then afterwards, like after he was okay and, you know, healthy again, was like, all right, it's time to dissolve everything. And they went through this crazy, like I can't even imagine how many rounds and how many vials of dissolving of like full face, right?
Wow.
It's like just terrified to have that sort of reaction again, rightfully so. And was still like struggling big time to get the tear troughs done right. And they're like, you know, I mean, getting it done by top-notch injectors, like no question of skill here whatsoever, but like struggling to get it fully dissolved. And they went to a conference, I think it was actually in Boston, and there was an ultrasound company there, like on the expo floor. Like walked up, taking a look, and this case was really public. And they were like, can we take a look? And he was like, yeah. Ended up being this like hour-long webinar of them dissolving more of their filler.
Do you know where it was?
The
like
filler?
Yeah,
it was just more of it in the tear trough. And when they ultrasounded it, it like lit up and they're like, it's still there. He's like, how is it still there? Like, we've done all these things, but then brought in an injector into the floor. And like, they did this whole demo of ultrasound guided dissolving, and just knowing what that person went through up until that point and that it was still there.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, ultrasound. We're doing that.
That's wild.
So like, and I don't use my ultrasound every day by any means. There's weeks that I don't even take it out. But like, knowing that that's in your back pocket to be able to feel really confident about it, and in like tricky cases or identifying blood vessels before injections, awesome. It's so cool where the technology goes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I learned so much.
Oh, so much fun.
So cool.
So now that you are backing out the filler, kind of getting back to your roots, you know, getting comfortable with yourself again, where do you see your own aesthetic treatments going in the future?
So I have a lip appointment this Friday already.
I don't hate that.
Yes. I mean, I keep licking my lips while we're on this. Like, they're so much drier when you don't have filler.
Yeah, that hyaluronic acid keeps that water in there.
Yes.
Totally.
So I miss the hydration. So I'm gonna do that. But like, again, the first thing I said to her was like, I don't know if I should remind you every time. Like, this new injector. Subtle. Like, I think I have to say it for the rest of my life now. And I don't know. I'm going to take it really easy. I don't think, like, what age would you suggest for under eye filler?
Never.
Really?
Yeah.
See, because I was going to say, I'm afraid to do anything down here now.
Yeah. No, honestly, never. I mean, I would say of my patients at this point in my career, I put actual filler in somebody's under eyes probably 1 out of 500 people in a lineup.
Wow.
And even then, tiny, tiny, tiny amounts.
That's insane. And I got a whole syringe the first time.
Yeah, it's a ton.
Yeah, dude.
You don't need it.
Thank you.
You're not volume deficient in your under eye.
Yeah.
At all.
So interesting.
Yeah. No, there'd be literally no reason. All that would do is close your eyes.
Yeah.
And give you a lifted cheek and shut everything.
I was seeing my cheeks. Like, I have like better
vision.
I'm not even kidding. I'm walking into walls last now.
Yeah, no, at least in my opinion, I don't think you ever need tear trough filler.
Cool.
Things like microneedling, laser rejuvenation, at most like PRF injections. Great. PRF technology is coming a really long way too. There's a new type of PRF that's, I don't want to say like recently out. It's been out for a couple years, but it's like getting more steam now, and more injectors are kind of jumping on the bandwagon. I'm jumping on the bandwagon this spring. It's called Gel PRF.
Cool.
And it is like, I consider it like a biofiller. So typically PRF is very liquid, right? And so anytime we would inject it into the under eye area, it's liquid. It's just meant to kind of tighten the skin, give us minimal volumization, but like volume wasn't the main goal of it. With Gel, it's still the same blood draw, obtaining your PRF, but you're splitting the blood into albumin, which is a protein in your blood, and the PRF, which has all the great growth factors and all the stimulating things from your platelets. And it is heating it, cooling it, and then you mix it together in a syringe, and it literally forms a thick like gel. So it is creating your own filler. So really a biofiller. So that's something that you can have injected. And again, for the right candidate in the under eyes, if we need to volumize, cheeks, lips, really anywhere that you would use filler, you can now use this Gel. It's typically like 2 treatments. And then it'll last about 6 to 8 months, maybe longer. But the cool thing with it is that you're getting collagen stimulation out of it. So it's leaving you in better shape than it found you. And it's not water loving. So it's not going to create those weird lumps, bumps, swelling. When you get sick, your filler is not going to hurt. That's what used to happen to me is when I had cheek filler done, if I would get a cold, I was like, oh, my filler hurts. And like my face would literally hurt wherever I had filler.
Wow. I don't think I've experienced that.
Good.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not autoimmune, but I kind of lean that way, if that makes any sense. So there's a lot of things with that. So I think that the more natural forms of aesthetic enhancements, especially with Gel, and I think Gel is just going to be the tip of the iceberg. I think that the industry is going to go a lot harder towards natural biorejuvenation, utilizing exosome stem cells, things like that, to have our bodies heal themselves in a safer fashion than with filler. So I hope desperately that we see people pump the brakes with hyaluronic acid filler. They're still great. There's a time and a place for them. Use them, but use them judiciously, you know?
Quick question. Now that you mentioned the gel stuff.
Yeah.
Anyone that has, like, say I'm getting my lips done this Friday. Say.
Yeah.
We already know I am.
I might be.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Would you be able to put that gel into someone that has that, or would you have to...
dissolve first?
Dissolve first, yeah.
So in theory, you could still put it in. Now, especially in the lips, it's going to be more just rejuvenative versus giving you that real filler-like result. That filler-like result will be temporary, especially because we move our mouth so much. We eat, we kiss, we do everything with it. So you're not going to keep that volume in your lips anywhere near as much as you would with filler. It's more so going to be a great option in the lips for people that are really either can't get dermal fillers for, medical reasons, for personal reasons. Some people are just like, nope, not for me, but I would love to have my lips bigger. A lot of people really are just looking for that more natural type of thing. Yep. So it'll be also really great for older women that really need that collagen support and stimulation, because HA fillers, they don't stimulate collagen really, they're just giving that hydration. Whereas if you have kind of an aging lip area, we can get that stimulation and get some collagen back too. So there'll be a time and a place for it in the lips. It's definitely not going to replace lip filler by any means, but it will have its role.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me excited.
Yeah. Now you should be super pumped for where the whole industry is moving as a whole. I think it's going to be really exciting to see. And I think it's going to be a lot more inclusive for people. It's not going to be railroaded into just, neurotoxin injections and filler. I think we're going to see it really broaden and appeal to a bigger audience that like things to be a little bit more natural.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could have seen it going that way, I guess. You would just hope that it would, right?
Right? You hope so. But yeah. And I mean, unfortunately, sometimes it takes negative outcomes to force change.
Yep.
It's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if something's a little broke and we got a wheel falling off, it's time to really, reevaluate what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure you see that in the hair industry all the time too. Something just because it's the way that it's been done for a long time doesn't mean it's the best way.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad we were able to finally do this. And send me over your before and after pic, and we'll definitely tag that on to kind of the end of this episode here. So if you are watching it, just keep watching and you can see Nikki's before and after.
Just wait.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
You too.